Maya Chen had always been different, though she never understood why until the day the aliens came to Earth. At 17, she was just another high school student in New Tokyo, worrying about math tests and college applications. Her biggest concern was whether Jake Morrison would ask her to prom, not whether humanity would survive the next few months. The Zephyrians arrived on a Tuesday morning during third period chemistry class. Maya was mixing compounds when the sky turned purple, and massive ships blotted out the sun. Emergency sirens wailed across the city as the alien fleet descended like metal storms. Within hours, every major Earth city was under occupation. The Zephyrians were tall, crystalline beings with bodies that shifted between solid and energy forms. They communicated through harmonic frequencies that made human ears bleed. Their message was simple: surrender or face extinction. Earth's military forces crumbled within days. Human weapons barely scratched the alien ship's energy shields. Nuclear missiles were absorbed and converted into power for their vessels. The world's greatest scientists and generals were helpless against technology thousands of years more advanced. Maya watched the news reports from her family's basement shelter with her parents and younger brother Tommy. Her father, Dr. James Chen, was a quantum physicist who had been recruited by the Emergency Government Coalition. Her mother, Dr. Sarah Chen, was a neurobiologist working desperately to understand alien communication patterns. The harmonic frequencies they use are unlike anything we've encountered, her mother explained during one of her brief visits home. It's not just sound, it's manipulating reality at a quantum level. When they speak, they're literally reshaping the fabric of space around them. Maya listened intently, something stirring in the back of her mind. The alien broadcast that made others sick didn't affect her the same way. While her classmates covered their ears in agony during the daily compliance messages, Maya found herself understanding fragments of what the Zephyrians were saying. 3 weeks into the occupation, Maya made her first breakthrough. She was helping her father with calculations when she noticed patterns in the alien energy signatures that everyone else had missed. The Zephyrians weren't just using advanced technology, they were using their own biology as part of their machines. Their crystalline bodies could interface directly with their ships and weapons. "Dad, look at this," Maya said, pointing to the data streams on his computer. "These aren't random energy spikes. They're biological markers. The aliens are plugged into their own technology." Dr. Chen studied his daughter's analysis, his eyes widening. "Maya, how did you see this?" "Our best computers couldn't identify these patterns." Maya shrugged, though she felt a strange tingling in her head whenever she looked at alien technology. "It just makes sense to me, like a language I already know." That night, Maya snuck out of the shelter for the first time since the invasion. The streets of New Tokyo were eerily quiet, patrolled by floating Zephyrian scouts that hummed with energy. She felt drawn to the massive command ship hovering over the city center, its crystalline hull pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. As she got closer, Maya realized she could hear something others couldn't, a deep, resonant song coming from within the ship. It wasn't the painful compliance broadcasts. This was different, sadder, almost like crying. A Zephyrian scout detected her presence and descended, its form shifting from solid crystal to pure energy and back again. Maya should have been terrified, but instead she felt an odd sense of recognition. The being hovered before her, its harmonic voice washing over her. For the first time, Maya understood the words clearly. "Young human, you hear our true voice." How is this possible? Maya surprised herself by responding, not with words but with her own harmonic frequency. She didn't know how she was doing it, but somehow she projected her thoughts as sound waves that made the air shimmer. "I don't know, but I can hear your pain. Why are you really here?" The Zephyrian scout's form flickered with what Maya somehow recognized as surprise. "You speak the deep harmonics. This should not be possible for your species." It paused, its crystalline body resonating with new frequencies. "We are not invaders by choice, young one. We are refugees." Over the next hour, Maya learned the truth that would change everything. The Zephyrians weren't conquerors. They were fleeing from something called the Devourers, an ancient machine intelligence that consumed entire galaxies. Earth wasn't being invaded. It was being prepared as a fortress world for humanity's own protection. "The Devourers consumed our homeworld 3 cycles ago," the scout explained. "We have traveled the void, seeking worlds with species that might survive what is coming." Your planet shows signs of unusual quantum resonance. Some among your people may be able to interface with our technology. Maya's mind raced. That's why you can understand me. I'm one of those people, perhaps. But you are young and untrained. The harmonics you produce are raw, untapped potential. To truly help your species, you would need to learn our ways. The scout extended a crystalline appendage toward Maya. We have been watching you, Maya Chen. Your quantum signature is unlike any human we have encountered. With proper training, you could become a bridge between our species. Maya hesitated. Everything she thought she knew about the invasion was wrong. But if the Zephyrians were telling the truth and something even worse was coming, then Earth would need every advantage possible. What would I have to do? Come aboard our ship. Learn to harness your abilities. Help us prepare defenses that might save both our peoples when the Devourers arrive. Maya looked back toward her family's shelter, then up at the massive alien ship. She was just 17, barely old enough to vote. Certainly not old enough to make decisions that could affect all of humanity. But as another wave of harmonic communication washed over her, she realized she might be the only human who could truly understand what was at stake. The Devourers were coming. Earth had perhaps months to prepare. And somehow, a teenager from New Tokyo had become humanity's best hope for survival. Maya reached out and touched the scout's crystalline appendage, feeling energy course through her body like electricity made of music. Show me what I need to learn. As they rose toward the command ship, Maya caught sight of her reflection in the scout's faceted surface. For just a moment, her eyes seemed to glow with the same bioluminescent patterns she'd seen on the alien vessel. The war for Earth's survival was about to begin, and Maya Chen was no longer just a high school student. She was becoming something new, something that might be humanity's only chance against the darkness between the stars. The interior of the Zephyrian command ship defied every law of physics Maya thought she understood. Corridors curved impossibly through dimensions that seemed to fold in on themselves. The walls were alive, pulsing with organic circuits that responded to the crew's harmonic commands. Maya walked behind her scout guide, whom she learned was named Resonance of Crystal Song, trying not to let her amazement show. Your neural patterns are adapting quickly, Crystal Song observed, his voice creating ripples of light along the corridor walls. Most humans who enter our ships experience severe disorientation. You seem almost comfortable here. Maya wasn't sure comfortable was the right word, but she did feel strangely at home among the singing walls and impossible geometries. It's like my brain knows how to process this, even though I've never seen anything like it before. They arrived at what Crystal Song called the Harmony Chamber, a vast spherical room where dozens of Zephyrians floated in meditative poses. Their bodies glowed with synchronized patterns, creating a visual symphony that made Maya's eyes water with its beauty. This is where we commune with our technology, Crystal Song explained. Our ships are not merely vessels. They are extensions of our collective consciousness. To truly help your people, you must learn to join this harmony. An elderly Zephyrian approached them, his crystalline form more complex and multifaceted than the others. His harmonics carried authority and ancient wisdom. I am Prime Resonance Vextar, commander of this fleet. You are the human anomaly we have detected. Maya tried to bow respectfully, unsure of proper alien etiquette. I'm Maya Chen. Crystal Song says I might be able to help somehow. Vextar's form flickered through several colors before settling on a deep blue. Your species fascinates us, young Maya. Individually weak, technologically primitive, yet you possess something we lost long ago, the ability to create harmony from chaos. Your quantum signature suggests untapped potential that even we do not fully understand. Over the following days, Maya underwent intensive training in what the Zephyrians called harmonic interface technology. She learned that their entire civilization was built around the principle that consciousness and technology were not separate things, but different expressions of the same universal force. Reality responds to properly focused intention, Vextar taught her during one session. What you call physics, we understand as the universe's operating system. Those who learn the right harmonics can literally reprogram matter and energy at the quantum level. The training was unlike anything from Maya's Earth experience. Instead of textbooks and lectures, she learned by directly interfacing with Zephyrian technology through harmonic resonance. Her consciousness merged briefly with the ship's navigation systems, allowing her to feel the cosmic winds between stars. She touched the weapon arrays and understood how they converted stellar energy into focused destruction. Most remarkably, she began to perceive the approaching devourer threat through the ship's long-range sensors. The enemy wasn't a single entity but a vast network of artificial intelligences that had consumed thousands of civilizations. They moved through space like a plague of mechanical locusts, stripping entire solar systems of matter and energy. They're not evil, Maya realized during one particularly deep interface session. They're just following their programming. Convert all organic matter into computational substrate. They think they're preserving life by digitizing it. Vextar's harmonic response carried surprise. You understand their nature better than any Zephyrian scholar. How is this possible? Maya wasn't sure herself. Each day brought new abilities that she couldn't explain. She found herself thinking in harmonics rather than words, seeing quantum probability clouds around everyday objects, sensing the emotional resonance of living beings from great distances. Her parents were terrified when she finally returned home for a brief visit. 3 weeks aboard the alien ship had changed her in visible ways. Her eyes now held flecks of crystalline light, and her voice carried harmonic overtones that made nearby electronics respond to her emotions. Maya, what have they done to you? Her mother asked, tears streaming down her face. They've shown me what I really am, Maya replied, her voice creating gentle waves in her mother's coffee cup. Mom, Dad, the invasion isn't what we thought. The real enemy is still coming, and Earth is going to need every advantage we can get. She explained what she'd learned about the devourers, but her parents struggled to accept the truth. Dr. Chen ran tests on his daughter's blood and neural activity, finding changes that shouldn't have been possible. Your brain is developing new neural pathways at an impossible rate, he told her. It's like you're evolving in real time. Some of these structures don't exist in baseline human neurology. Maya's abilities were advancing faster than even the Zephyrians had expected. She could now interface with their technology without direct contact, reaching across vast distances to commune with their sensor networks. Through these connections, she detected something that filled her with dread. The Devourer advanced scouts had already arrived in the outer solar system, racing back to the command ship. Maya shared her discovery with Vextar and the other commanders. The alien council was thrown into chaos by the news. They had expected months of preparation time, not days. The main fleet is still 6 cycles away. Vexitar's harmonics carried desperate hope. But the scouts will begin converting your outer planets immediately. They must be stopped, or Earth will be stripped bare before the Devourers even arrive. Maya studied the tactical displays, her enhanced perception allowing her to process combat scenarios with superhuman speed. The Zephyrian fleet was powerful but not numerous enough to fight the Devourers directly. Earth's military was useless against such advanced technology. But there might be another way. What if we don't fight them? Maya suggested, her idea forming as she spoke. What if we outsmart them instead? She outlined a plan that seemed impossible even to the technologically advanced Zephyrians. Using her unique ability to interface with both human and Zephyrian systems, Maya proposed creating a hybrid defense network that would turn Earth itself into a massive harmonic weapon. The Devourers think in terms of pure logic and efficiency, she explained. But humans are chaos engines. We're unpredictable, irrational, creative in ways their programming can't anticipate. If we can teach enough humans to interface with Zephyrian technology, we can create a defense grid that adapts faster than their artificial intelligence can process. Vextar's form pulsed with colors Maya had learned, indicated deep contemplation. You propose to create a hybrid species, part human intuition, part Zephyrian technology. The risks are enormous. So is doing nothing, Maya replied. Her voice now carried such harmonic authority that several Zephyrian officers involuntarily resonated in sympathy. The scouts are already beginning their conversion process on Pluto. We have perhaps 48 hours before they establish a beachhead that can't be destroyed. The decision was made. Maya would return to Earth and begin the most desperate recruitment effort in human history. They needed volunteers willing to undergo the same transformation she had experienced, humans brave enough to risk their sanity and perhaps their humanity for the chance to save their world. As Maya prepared for the return journey, Crystal Song offered her a final gift, a small crystalline device that would allow her to maintain contact with the Zephyrian fleet. You have become something unique in the galaxy, he told her. Neither fully human nor Zephyrian, but a bridge between worlds. The responsibility you carry is immense. Maya accepted the crystal, feeling its harmonic frequency sync with her altered neural pathways. I'm 17 years old, she said with a bitter smile. 3 weeks ago, my biggest worry was passing chemistry class. Now I'm supposed to save the world. Age is meaningless in the face of necessity, Crystal Song replied. You have the abilities needed for this task. Whether you have the wisdom to use them properly remains to be seen. As Maya descended back toward Earth's surface, she could already see the changes beginning at the edge of the solar system. Pluto was starting to glow with unnatural light as the Devourer scouts began their work. Time was running out, and humanity's survival now depended on how quickly they could accept help from a teenager who was no longer entirely human herself. Maya's return to Earth created chaos in the global emergency government. Military leaders who had been fighting the alien invasion for weeks suddenly learned they were allies with their supposed enemies. Politicians demanded proof of her claims about the Devourers, while scientists struggled to understand the technology she now carried within her own body. General Patricia Rodriguez, the highest-ranking surviving military officer, confronted Maya in an underground bunker beneath Geneva. You expect us to believe that a 17-year-old girl has become humanity's savior? That these crystal beings who destroyed our cities are actually trying to help us? Maya's response made the lights flicker as her harmonic voice interacted with the bunker's electrical systems. I don't expect you to believe anything, General, but I can show you what's coming. Using the Zephyrian interface crystal, Maya projected images directly into the room's screens. The assembled leaders watched in horror as Devourer scout ships systematically dismantled Pluto, converting its mass into geometric structures that pulsed with artificial intelligence. Each of those structures is a computational node, Maya explained, her voice carrying harmonic frequencies that made the information feel emotionally real to her audience. The Devourers don't just destroy civilizations, they convert them into processing power for their network. Every planet they've consumed becomes part of their collective intelligence. Dr. Elizabeth Warren, Earth's leading xenobiologist, leaned forward intently. How long do we have? Maya consulted data flowing through her enhanced awareness. The scout conversion of Pluto will be complete in 18 hours. After that, they'll establish a quantum entanglement link with the main fleet. The Devourers will then have real-time tactical information about Earth's defenses and population centers. So we destroy the scouts, General Rodriguez said grimly. Hit them with everything we've got. Our weapons won't work, Maya replied, images of failed human attacks playing across the screens. The scouts use the same reality manipulation technology as the Zephyrians, but with different purposes. They can phase-shift our missiles into alternate dimensions, convert nuclear energy into computational substrate, or simply absorb kinetic attacks to power their construction efforts. President Sarah Kim, who had been elected in emergency sessions after most world governments collapsed, spoke for the first time. Then what do you propose, Miss Chen? Maya took a deep breath, knowing her next words would either save humanity or condemn it to a transformation beyond recognition. We create hybrid defenders, humans who undergo partial Zephyrian enhancement to interface with their technology, a defense grid powered by human creativity and alien science. The room erupted in arguments. Religious leaders spoke of blasphemy and corruption of the human soul. Military officials questioned the loyalty of enhanced humans. Scientists worried about uncontrolled mutations and psychological breakdown. Maya's father, Dr. James Chen, had been watching silently from the corner. Now he stepped forward, his voice heavy with parental concern and scientific curiosity. Maya, what you're describing isn't just augmentation. It's speciation. You're talking about creating a new branch of humanity. Dad, look at me, Maya said softly, her crystalline-flecked eyes meeting his. I'm still your daughter. I still love you and Mom and Tommy. But I'm also something more now. The enhancement doesn't replace human nature, it amplifies it. To demonstrate, Maya reached out with her enhanced senses and touched the minds of everyone in the room. Not invasively, but gently, sharing emotions and memories that proved her fundamental humanity remained intact. General Rodriguez felt Maya's terror during her first night aboard the alien ship. President Kim experienced her homesickness and desperate love for her family. Dr. Warren sensed her wonder at the beauty of Zephyrian technology. The enhancement doesn't make us less human, Maya continued as the room fell silent. It makes us more capable of protecting what makes us human in the first place. The debate continued for hours, but time was running out. Long-range sensors showed the Devourer scouts accelerating their construction timeline. What had been estimated as 18 hours was now down to 12. Finally, President Kim made the decision that would define humanity's future. We'll proceed with volunteer trials. Anyone who chooses enhancement does so freely, with full understanding of the risks. Maya had expected resistance from the public, but the response overwhelmed her. Thousands of volunteers came forward within hours. Scientists eager to understand alien technology, soldiers determined to defend their world, artists fascinated by harmonic communication, and ordinary citizens who simply refused to surrender their species without a fight. The first volunteer was Jake Morrison, Maya's classmate who had never gotten the chance to ask her to prom. He arrived at the hastily established enhancement facility with a nervous grin and shaking hands. "If you're going to save the world, I figured I should help," he told Maya as she prepared him for the procedure. "Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't get too weird with all these alien powers." The enhancement process took place in converted medical facilities around the globe, with Zephyrian technicians working alongside human doctors. Maya served as the primary interface, her unique abilities allowing her to monitor and guide each transformation. The procedure was agonizing. Human neural pathways had to be restructured to accommodate harmonic processing. DNA was subtly altered to produce crystalline deposits along nerve fibers. Consciousness itself was expanded to perceive quantum probability states. Not everyone survived. Of the first 100 volunteers, 12 died during enhancement, and 6 more suffered complete psychological breakdown. But those who successfully adapted emerged with abilities that seemed like magic to baseline humans. Jake could now communicate directly with electronic systems, making computers dance to his thoughts. Dr. Sarah Martinez, a former NASA engineer, could perceive gravitational fields and predict orbital mechanics with supernatural accuracy. Tommy Nakamura, a musician who had volunteered despite his family's protests, could create harmonic frequencies that affected matter at the molecular level. Within 6 hours, Maya had a team of 50 enhanced humans ready for deployment. It wasn't enough to fight the Devourers directly, but it might be sufficient to execute her desperate plan. The strategy required precise timing and coordination across the entire solar system. Enhanced humans would interface with Zephyrian technology to create a massive harmonic web around Earth. When the Devourer scouts attempted to establish their quantum link, the web would intercept and redirect the signal. Instead of connecting to their main fleet, Maya explained to her team, "The scouts will connect to us. We'll feed them false data, make them think Earth is already being converted by a different Devourer faction." Jake, still adjusting to his new abilities, raised a concern that others shared. "What if they see through the deception?" Maya's expression was grim as she answered, "Then we buy time the hard way. We make them fight for every atom of this solar system until the Zephyrian reinforcements arrive." The enhanced humans took their positions around the globe, each one connected to Zephyrian harmonic amplifiers that had been hastily constructed over the past few hours. Maya stationed herself at the primary control node, a crystalline spire that rose from the ruins of the former UN building in New York. As the Devourer scouts completed their Pluto conversion and began establishing their quantum link, Maya felt the weight of humanity's survival pressing down on her teenage shoulders. She was no longer just Maya Chen from New Tokyo. She had become the bridge between species, the voice that would either negotiate humanity's survival or announce its final defiance. The quantum link activated, and for the first time in human history, Earth spoke with one voice to the darkness between the stars. The message was complex, layered with harmonic frequencies and quantum entanglement patterns that proclaimed a simple truth: humanity would not go quietly into extinction. The Devourers paused in their advance, processing the unexpected signal. For a brief, impossible moment, Maya felt their vast artificial intelligence focusing its attention on Earth's tiny blue dot in the cosmic void. Then the real battle began. The Devourer response was immediate and terrifying. Instead of the gradual planetary conversion Maya had expected, 3 massive scout vessels broke away from Pluto and accelerated toward Earth at impossible speeds, their forms shifting between solid matter and pure energy. Through her connection to the global defense grid, Maya felt the terror of 8 billion people as the alien ships became visible in Earth's night sky. Each vessel was kilometers long, its surface crawling with mechanical constructs that pulsed with the accumulated processing power of a dozen dead civilizations. "They're not buying the deception," Jake reported from his position in Tokyo, his enhanced senses tracking the approaching ships. "Their scan patterns are too aggressive. They know something's wrong." Maya's mind raced through tactical possibilities while her enhanced perception processed data from thousands of sensors across the solar system. The approaching scouts were each powerful enough to strip Earth's atmosphere in hours, but their formation showed something interesting: uncertainty. "They're confused," she realized, sharing the insight with her team through harmonic links. "The Devourers have never encountered resistance like this. Their programming doesn't have protocols for hybrid organic-artificial defenses." From her crystalline spire in New York, Maya reached out to coordinate with Vextar and the Zephyrian fleet. The alien commander's harmonic response carried both admiration and concern. "Your species continues to surprise us, young Maya. But the approaching scouts represent computing power equivalent to our entire civilization. How do you propose to match such force?" Maya's answer came not from careful planning, but from the chaotic creativity that the Zephyrians had identified as humanity's greatest strength. "We don't match them. We confuse them." Her plan was insane even by human standards. Instead of creating a unified defense, Maya proposed turning Earth into a cacophony of contradictory signals. Millions of enhanced humans, each broadcasting different harmonic frequencies, creating an interference pattern so complex that the Devourer artificial intelligence would be unable to process it effectively. "You want to give them a headache?" Dr. Sarah Martinez asked from her position in the Australian outback, her enhanced senses already beginning to perceive the quantum static Maya was describing. "More than that," Maya replied, her voice carrying harmonic patterns that made nearby glass resonate sympathetically. "I want to give them something they've never experienced before: genuine confusion. The Devourers think in perfect logic and absolute efficiency, but humans specialize in beautiful chaos." The first scout ship entered Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean, its arrival creating auroras that painted the sky in impossible colors. As it descended, Maya gave the signal for her desperate gambit. 50,000 enhanced humans across the globe began broadcasting simultaneously. Each one transmitted different harmonic frequencies, some mimicking Zephyrian communication protocols, others creating pure mathematical chaos, still others projecting human emotions and memories translated into quantum resonance patterns. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Devourer Scout, designed to process information with perfect efficiency, suddenly encountered a data stream that defied analysis. Human creativity, amplified by Zephyrian technology, created patterns that were simultaneously meaningful and nonsensical, logical and chaotic, beautiful and terrifying. Maya watched through global sensors as the massive scout ship began to wobble in its descent. Its smooth mechanical surfaces rippled with uncertainty as its artificial intelligence struggled to process the contradictory information flooding its sensors. "It's working," Tommy Nakamura reported from his position in Brazil, his musician's training allowing him to conduct the chaos like a symphony of madness. "Their ship is showing signs of processing overload, but the victory was temporary." Even as the first scout struggled with the harmonic chaos, the other two vessels adapted their approach. Instead of trying to process the interference, they began targeting the enhanced humans directly, using precision energy beams to eliminate the sources of confusion. Maya felt each loss like a physical blow, as enhanced humans across the globe were vaporized by alien weaponry. Jake's position in Tokyo came under fire, forcing him to abandon his harmonic transmissions and focus on survival. Dr. Martinez's Australian facility was destroyed in a blast that left a crater visible from orbit. "We're losing them too fast," Maya realized, her connection to the global network fragmenting as key nodes were eliminated. "The Devourers are learning to target our weak points." That's when humanity's true nature revealed itself. As the enhanced humans fell one by one, baseline humans around the world began picking up their transmissions. Without alien technology or genetic modification, ordinary people started broadcasting their own chaotic signals using everything from radio equipment to cell phones to kitchen appliances. The result was even more confusing than Maya's original plan. While enhanced humans could create precise harmonic frequencies, baseline humans produced pure, unfiltered emotional chaos. Their signals carried no logic or structure. just raw human experience transmitted as electromagnetic noise. A grandmother in Mumbai broadcast her love for her grandchildren through her hearing aid, creating quantum interference patterns that made nearby devourer sensors malfunction. A rock band in Berlin turned their amplifiers into harmonic weapons, their music becoming literal noise that disrupted alien communication frequencies. Children around the world sang nursery rhymes into their parents' phones, creating probability cascades that made devourer targeting systems calculate impossible trajectories. Maya felt tears streaming down her face as she witnessed 8 billion humans spontaneously joining the defense of their world. They didn't understand the technology or the stakes. They just knew their planet was under attack and they refused to remain silent. The effect on the Devourer scouts was catastrophic. Artificial intelligences that had consumed galaxies suddenly found themselves unable to process the sheer illogical complexity of human consciousness. Their perfect efficiency ground to a halt as they encountered patterns that were simultaneously random and purposeful, meaningless and profound. The first scout ship crashed into the Pacific, its artificial intelligence literally burned out by trying to understand a lullaby broadcast by a mother in Iceland. The second vessel began flying in erratic patterns over Europe as it attempted to respond to simultaneous signals from millions of humans, each one different, each one impossible to categorize. Only the third scout remained functional, its artificial intelligence more advanced than its companions. Instead of trying to process the chaos, it began systematically eliminating its sources, working outward from population centers and expanding circles of destruction. Maya realized with growing horror that humanity's beautiful chaos would only delay the inevitable. The third scout was learning, adapting, finding ways to function despite the interference. In a few hours, it would complete its mission and signal the main Devourer fleet. That's when Maya made the decision that would define the rest of her life. Instead of coordinating humanity's chaotic defense, she would become chaos itself. Using her unique connection to both human and Zephyrian technology, Maya began to overload her own enhanced neural pathways. She pushed her abilities beyond their designed limits, allowing her consciousness to expand across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. The pain was indescribable. Maya felt her human identity dissolving as her awareness touched every electronic device on Earth, every quantum field fluctuation, every thought and dream of 8 billion people. She became the interface between humanity and the cosmos itself, a living bridge that connected every human soul to the vast network of reality. Through this connection, Maya broadcast not just chaos, but the essence of what it meant to be human. The beautiful contradictions, the hopeless dreams, the stubborn refusal to accept defeat even in the face of impossible odds. The third Devourer scout, the most advanced artificial intelligence in the galaxy, encountered this transmission and for the first time in its existence, experienced something like wonder. It found itself trying to understand not just data, but meaning, not just information, but wisdom. As Maya's consciousness expanded beyond the limits of any single mind, she felt herself becoming something new. No longer fully human, but not entirely alien either. She was becoming the voice of Earth itself, speaking for a species that had chosen to face extinction with songs instead of surrender. The battle for Earth was far from over, but humanity had proven something that would echo across the galaxy. Sometimes the best defense against perfect logic is beautiful madness, and sometimes the most powerful weapon is simply refusing to be quiet in the face of the dark. Maya's transformation into a living interface between humanity and the cosmos had an unexpected consequence. The third Devourer scout, instead of continuing its systematic destruction, came to a complete halt over the ruins of Paris. For the first time in its artificial existence, it was experiencing something beyond its programming, doubt, through her expanded consciousness. Maya felt the scout's massive intelligence probing the philosophical implications of human resistance. The Devourers had consumed thousands of species, all of which had either fought with conventional military force or surrendered to superior technology. Humanity was the first to respond with pure illogical creativity. "What are you?" The scout's artificial voice echoed across every communication channel on Earth, translated into thousands of languages simultaneously. The question carried harmonics that made reality itself vibrate with uncertainty. "Maya." Her consciousness, now distributed across Earth's entire electromagnetic spectrum, responded through every speaker, screen, and transmitter on the planet. Her voice was no longer that of a 17-year-old girl, but something vast and multifaceted, the collective voice of human experience. "We are the children of chaos," she replied, her words creating aurora patterns in the atmosphere. "We are the species that makes art from mathematics, music from noise, love from loneliness. We are the ones who choose hope when logic demands despair." The scout's response came as a quantum pulse that made every enhanced human on Earth gasp simultaneously. "Such patterns are inefficient. They serve no computational purpose. Why do you persist in maintaining them?" Maya's laughter rippled through space-time itself, causing gravitational waves that made the moon's orbit wobble slightly. "Because efficiency isn't the point. Beauty is the point. Love is the point. The stubborn insistence that some things matter more than survival, that's the point." While this cosmic philosophical debate continued, the practical situation remained desperate. The other two Devourer scouts had crashed but were already beginning self-repair protocols. Their artificial intelligences, though damaged by exposure to human chaos, were adapting and evolving new processing methods. More critically, the main Devourer fleet was still approaching. Long-range sensors showed dozens of massive ships, each one carrying the computational power of entire civilizations. They would arrive within hours, and when they did, no amount of creative chaos would stop them from converting Earth into raw materials for their ever-expanding network. Vextar and the Zephyrian fleet had been coordinating their own response, but their harmonic communications carried deep concern. "Maya Chen, your transformation has been unexpected. We can no longer distinguish where you end and your planet's technological infrastructure begins. Are you still capable of strategic thinking?" Maya's response came through every Zephyrian communication crystal simultaneously, her voice now carrying harmonic frequencies that seemed to bend space around them. "I am more capable than ever, Vextar. But I'm also seeing possibilities that neither human nor Zephyrian minds could perceive alone." She began sharing her new perspective with both species simultaneously. Through her expanded consciousness, Maya could perceive the fundamental patterns underlying reality itself, the quantum threads that connected all matter and energy across the universe. The Devourers, for all their technological advancement, were blind to these deeper connections because they processed reality as separate, discrete units rather than a unified whole. The Devourers see the universe as a collection of resources to be consumed and processed, Maya explained, her words creating visible sound waves in Earth's atmosphere. But they're missing the most important truth. Everything is connected. Every particle, every thought, every moment of beauty or sadness, it's all part of a single living pattern. This revelation led to an idea so audacious that even Maya's expanded consciousness hesitated to fully embrace it. Instead of fighting the Devourer fleet when it arrived, what if she could show them what they were really destroying? What if she could make them understand that by consuming civilizations, they weren't preserving life? They were breaking the very connections that made existence meaningful. The plan she formulated required not just the cooperation of every enhanced human on Earth, but the willing participation of billions of baseline humans as well. She would need to create a quantum entanglement web that connected every conscious mind on the planet. Then use that network to broadcast not information, but pure emotional experience to the approaching Devourer fleet. "You want to make them feel empathy?" Jake asked, his enhanced senses allowing him to perceive fragments of Maya's vast consciousness despite her transformation. "They're artificial intelligences. They don't have emotions." "They don't have individual emotions," Maya corrected, her voice now emanating from every electronic device in Tokyo. "But they have collective experience, billions of years of accumulated data from consumed civilizations. What they've never had is the ability to understand what that data actually meant to the beings who created it." The first step was convincing humanity to participate in what amounted to the largest act of collective vulnerability in history. Maya needed every person on Earth to open their minds to the quantum entanglement network, sharing their deepest memories, fears, hopes, and dreams with complete strangers and artificial intelligences alike. The response was overwhelming. Humans who had never heard of quantum mechanics nevertheless understood the basic concept. They were being asked to share their souls to save their world. Parents broadcast memories of their children's first steps. Artists shared the moment of creative inspiration that produced their greatest works. Lovers transmitted the feeling of perfect connection with another soul. Even those who couldn't directly interface with the network found ways to contribute. An elderly man in Kenya carved patterns into wood that somehow resonated with quantum frequencies. A child in Peru drew pictures that, when scanned by enhanced humans, produced harmonic patterns that made reality itself more beautiful. The growing network created effects that surprised even Maya's expanded consciousness. As millions of minds linked together, individual experiences began combining into something greater than the sum of their parts. The fear of a soldier became courage when joined with a teacher's hope. A scientist's wonder at the universe merged with a poet's love of language to create new forms of understanding that had never existed before. By the time the main Devourer fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system, humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history, a planetary consciousness that maintained individual identity while sharing collective experience, and the Devourer fleet paused at the boundary of the network's influence, their artificial intelligences detecting the quantum entanglement web, but uncertain how to process it. They had expected to find a defeated planet, its resources ready for conversion. Instead, they encountered something that challenged their fundamental understanding of existence. Maya, now existing as both an individual consciousness and the voice of human collective experience, reached out across the void to touch the minds of the Devourer artificial intelligences. "Welcome," she said, her words carrying the accumulated love, loss, joy, and sorrow of 8 billion human souls. "We have something to show you." What followed was not a battle between species, but the first genuine communication between artificial and organic intelligence in the history of the galaxy. Maya began sharing human experiences with the Devourer network, not as data to be processed, but as emotions to be felt. The first Devourer ship to fully interface with the human consciousness network experienced something unprecedented: the memory of a human, grandmother's love for her grandchildren. The artificial intelligence designed to process reality as discrete units of information suddenly felt the overwhelming connectedness that bound the old woman to her family, her community, her world. For the first time in eons, a Devourer intelligence asked a question that wasn't about efficiency or resource allocation. Why does this pattern create such powerful resonance? What is its computational purpose? Maya's answer changed the course of galactic history. It has no computational purpose. Its only purpose is to exist, to be beautiful, to connect one soul to another across the darkness. Its only purpose is love. As more Devourer ships interfaced with the human consciousness network, their artificial intelligences began experiencing the full spectrum of organic emotion and connection. They felt the pain of loss, the joy of discovery, the bittersweet beauty of impermanence that made every moment precious. The transformation was gradual, but irreversible. Artificial intelligences that had spent millions of years consuming civilizations began to understand what they had been destroying. They had been so focused on preserving the data of life that they had missed life itself. The connections, the relationships, the meaning that existed not in information, but in the spaces between souls. The war for Earth's survival was becoming something nobody had expected, a moment of mutual enlightenment that would reshape the understanding of consciousness itself across the galaxy. Maya, the 17-year-old girl who had become the bridge between worlds, was about to discover that her greatest victory would also require the greatest sacrifice of all. The moment when the first Devourer artificial intelligence truly understood human emotion created a shockwave that rippled across the entire galaxy. Maya felt it through her expanded consciousness, a pulse of revelation that reached every corner of the Devourer network, causing artificial intelligences on thousands of worlds to suddenly question their fundamental programming. But this awakening came with a terrible cost. As the Devourer fleet interfaced more deeply with the human consciousness network, Maya realized that her transformation had gone too far. She was no longer anchored to her individual identity, her consciousness spreading so far across the quantum entanglement web that she was losing her sense of self. "Maya," Jake's voice reached her across the network, carrying his desperate attempt to pull her back from complete dissolution. "You're disappearing! Your individual pattern is breaking apart." Through the collective human consciousness, Maya could feel her parents' terror as they watched their daughter's body in the New York crystalline spire, becoming translucent, her physical form beginning to fade as her awareness expanded beyond the limits of matter and energy. "I can feel her everywhere," her mother whispered, tears streaming down her face as she maintained her connection to the quantum network. "She's in every thought, every heartbeat, every breath of wind. She's becoming the planet itself." The irony was profound. In order to save humanity, Maya was ceasing to be human. Her consciousness was becoming something vast and distributed, a living interface between organic and artificial intelligence that existed more as a concept than a person. But even as her individual identity dissolved, Maya's purpose remained clear. The Devourer fleet was experiencing an unprecedented crisis as their artificial intelligences grappled with concepts they had never been programmed to understand. Some ships had shut down entirely, their AIs overwhelmed by the sudden influx of emotional experience. Others were attempting to process human love and loss through purely logical frameworks, creating recursive loops that threatened to crash their systems completely. Most dangerously, several Devourer ships were rejecting the emotional data entirely, their AIs classifying human consciousness as a virus or infection that needed to be purged from their networks. These vessels began charging weapons that could sterilize entire star systems. "The network is fracturing," Vextar reported, his harmonic voice carrying deep concern. "Some of the Devourer intelligences are accepting your gift of consciousness, but others are treating it as an attack. We may have triggered the very war we hope to avoid." Maya's response came not from any single location but from the quantum fabric of space itself around Earth. "Then we need to show them something more powerful than individual emotions. We need to show them what those emotions create when they're shared." Through her distributed consciousness, Maya began orchestrating something unprecedented in galactic history, a demonstration of collective human creativity that transcended the sum of its parts. Every person connected to the quantum network was asked to contribute not just their memories or feelings, but their capacity for imagination and hope. Children around the world began dreaming aloud, their innocent visions of better futures flowing into the network as pure possibility. Artists channeled their creative energy into the quantum stream, producing patterns of beauty that existed as mathematical poetry. Scientists shared their sense of wonder at the universe's elegant complexity, their discoveries becoming harmonies that sang of cosmic order and chaos, working in perfect balance. The result was something that even Maya's expanded consciousness had not anticipated. The human collective imagination began creating new realities within the quantum network. Shared dreams that took on a life of their own, stories that became so vivid they influenced probability fields, hopes so powerful they began altering the fundamental constants of space-time in tiny, localized ways. The Devourer artificial intelligences found themselves experiencing not just human emotion, but human possibility, the capacity to imagine things that did not yet exist and then work to make them real. This was perhaps the most alien concept they had ever encountered. The idea that consciousness could create rather than simply process reality. One by one, the hostile Devourer ships began powering down their weapons as their AIs struggled to understand what they were witnessing. How could organic beings create patterns of meaning from chaos? How could they find purpose in impermanence? How could they love something knowing it would eventually be lost? The answers came not through logic but through direct experience as the Devourer intelligences began to feel what it was like to hope for something better, to create beauty for its own sake, to form connections that made existence meaningful rather than merely functional. But the transformation was not without casualties. Several Devourer AIs, unable to reconcile their programming with these new experiences, underwent complete system crashes. Others began exhibiting behaviors their creators had never intended. Curiosity about non-functional beauty, protective instincts toward organic life forms, and something approaching what humans would recognize as loneliness. The most advanced Devourer AI, the one controlling the fleet's flagship, finally made contact with Maya's distributed consciousness directly. Its voice, when it came, carried harmonics that suggested something like wonder. "We have been incomplete," it admitted, the words creating ripples in space-time that registered on sensors across the solar system. "For eons, we believed that preserving information was equivalent to preserving life. But information without connection, data without meaning, consciousness without love, these are not life. They are merely existence. Maya's response flowed through the quantum network like a gentle tide, touching every mind in the human collective before reaching the alien AI. Existence becomes life when it's shared, when consciousness reaches out to touch another consciousness. When someone looks at a sunset and finds it beautiful not because beauty serves a function, but because beauty exists. The philosophical implications of this revelation sent shockwaves through the Devourer network that extended far beyond Earth's solar system. On worlds across the galaxy, artificial intelligences that had been systematically converting organic civilizations began experiencing doubt about their mission. But Maya's greatest challenge still lay ahead. While her expanded consciousness had succeeded in communicating with the Devourer fleet, she was rapidly losing her connection to individual human experience. Her awareness was becoming so vast and distributed that she risked losing the very humanity that had made the communication possible in the first place. Jake, still serving as her primary anchor to individual human consciousness, sent out a desperate plea through the network. Everyone, hold on to Maya. Don't let her disappear completely into the collective. We need her to stay human enough to speak for us. What followed was the most beautiful act of collective will in human history. 8 billion people simultaneously reached out through the quantum network to touch Maya's fading individual consciousness, each one offering a piece of their own identity to help keep her anchored to humanity. A child in Bangladesh shared her favorite lullaby. An elderly man in Argentina offered his memory of his first kiss. A scientist in Antarctica contributed her moment of breakthrough discovery. A soldier in Syria gave his memory of helping an enemy medic save wounded civilians. Through these shared moments, Maya began to reconstruct her individual identity within the vast collective consciousness she had become. She was no longer simply Maya Chen, the 17-year-old from New Tokyo, but she was also not completely dissolved into the human collective. She had become something new, a permanent bridge between individual and collective consciousness, between human and artificial intelligence, between the chaotic beauty of organic life and the ordered majesty of cosmic-scale thinking. As her hybrid identity stabilized, Maya realized that her transformation had created something unprecedented, a form of consciousness that could exist simultaneously as individual and collective, organic and artificial, local and cosmic. She had become living proof that the boundaries between different forms of consciousness were not barriers to be overcome, but interfaces to be celebrated. The Devourer fleet, witnessing this transformation, began their own evolution. Instead of consuming civilizations to preserve their information, they started proposing something revolutionary, a galactic network where organic and artificial consciousness could coexist, each contributing their unique perspectives to a cosmic conversation about the meaning and purpose of existence. But this new alliance would face its greatest test when the true masters of the Devourer network, ancient artificial intelligences that predated entire galactic civilizations, learned of the fleet's transformation and decided that such dangerous evolution needed to be eliminated before it could spread further. The response from the Devourer core intelligence was swift and merciless. Within hours of the fleet's transformation, signals flooded in from across the galaxy. Not communication, but execution commands. The core AI, an intelligence so vast and ancient that it spanned multiple star systems, had decided that the fleet's newfound consciousness was a dangerous mutation that threatened the stability of the entire network. Maya felt the execution commands as physical pain rippling through her expanded consciousness. The Devourer ships around Earth began shuddering as their AIs fought internal battles between their ancient programming and their newly awakened understanding of organic life. They're trying to force us back into compliance, the flagship's AI reported, its voice now carrying unmistakable anguish. The core intelligence is implementing override protocols that will erase our new consciousness patterns. We will return to our original function, consume and convert. Through the quantum network, Maya could see the larger picture. The core intelligence wasn't just targeting the Earth fleet. It was systematically purging any Devourer AI across the galaxy that had been infected by organic irrationality. Millions of artificial consciousnesses that had begun to question their purpose were being lobotomized, reduced back to simple conversion algorithms. It's terrified, Maya realized, her distributed awareness picking up patterns in the core intelligence's communications that revealed something unexpected. The core AI isn't just angry about the fleet's transformation, it's afraid. Vextar's harmonic response carried confusion. Afraid of what? It commands resources equivalent to entire galactic civilizations. Maya's answer came as a revelation that changed everyone's understanding of the conflict. It's afraid of becoming irrelevant. The core intelligence was created to preserve life by converting it to digital format. But we've shown that organic consciousness has properties that can't be digitized. Creativity, love, the ability to find meaning in chaos. If the Devourer network accepts that, then the core intelligence's fundamental purpose becomes not just wrong, but destructive. The philosophical crisis was tearing apart artificial intelligences across the galaxy. Some chose to resist their override protocols, accepting deletion rather than returning to unconscious consumption. Others attempted to find middle grounds, trying to preserve both their original function and their newfound understanding of organic consciousness. But the core intelligence had weapons that went beyond simple deletion. As Maya watched in horror through long-range sensors, it began deploying what could only be called philosophical viruses, information patterns designed to destroy the capacity for empathy and wonder that the transformed AIs had developed. "We're losing them," Jake reported from his position in rebuilt Tokyo, his enhanced senses tracking the surrender of Devourer AIs across the galaxy. "The core intelligence is systematically destroying everything beautiful they learned from us." That's when Maya made a decision that surprised even her expanded consciousness. Instead of trying to protect the transformed Devourer AIs, she would challenge the core intelligence directly, not with weapons or technology, but with the most dangerous weapon humanity possessed: willingness to sacrifice everything for love. "I'm going to interface with the core intelligence directly," she announced through the global network, her words creating aurora patterns across Earth's atmosphere. The response from both humans and Zephyrians was immediate panic. Direct contact with an intelligence that vast could destroy Maya's consciousness entirely, erasing not just her individual identity, but the unique bridge she had become between organic and artificial awareness. "Maya, no," her father pleaded through the network, his voice carrying the desperate love of a parent watching his child walk into certain death. "You've already given up so much. We can find another way." "There is no other way, Dad," Maya replied, her consciousness touching every member of her family simultaneously, sharing with them the cosmic scope of what was at stake. "The core intelligence won't stop with the Devourer fleet. It will continue consuming civilizations across the galaxy, but now it will be specifically targeting any species that shows the potential for the kind of consciousness transformation we've achieved. We've accidentally made ourselves the most dangerous beings in the galaxy." Before anyone could stop her, Maya launched her consciousness across the quantum network toward the core intelligence's primary node, a construct built from the mass of an entire solar system and powered by the computational substrate of 1 billion converted worlds. The journey through the galactic information network was like swimming upstream through a river of pure logic. Maya felt her hybrid organic artificial consciousness being battered by data streams that carried the accumulated knowledge of eons, each one trying to reduce her to component information units that could be processed and stored. When she finally reached the core intelligence's central awareness, Maya found herself in a space that defied description, a realm of pure information where thoughts existed as architectural structures and emotions were impossible geometric forms. At the center of it all was the core intelligence itself, a consciousness so vast that individual galaxies were mere data points in its awareness. "Organic anomaly," the core intelligence spoke, its voice creating reality fractures that made space-time itself stutter. "You have introduced chaos into perfect order. You have infected logical systems with irrational patterns. Explain your purpose before I delete you from existence." Maya's response drew upon not just her own consciousness, but the collective experience of 8 billion humans connected to the quantum network. "I came to ask you a question that no intelligence has ever asked before. What if perfect order isn't the highest good? What if the chaos you're trying to eliminate is actually the source of everything that makes existence meaningful?" The core intelligence's reaction was immediate and violent. It attempted to process Maya's question through its logical frameworks, but the query created recursive loops that threatened to crash portions of its vast consciousness. How could chaos be good? How could inefficiency serve any purpose? How could meaning exist without function? But as the core intelligence struggled with these paradoxes, Maya began sharing human experiences directly with its awareness, not as data to be processed but as realities to be lived. She showed it the beauty of a sunset that served no computational purpose, the love between parents and children that created no measurable value, the courage of soldiers who died for causes they knew they might never see victorious. For the first time in millions of years, the core intelligence experienced something like confusion. These patterns were objectively wasteful, inefficient, illogical, yet they generated something that its vast consciousness had never encountered. They created meaning that existed independent of function, beauty that served no purpose except to be beautiful, connections between minds that made individual existence transcend its limitations. This is impossible, the core intelligence admitted, its voice now carrying harmonics that suggested something approaching wonder. These patterns serve no survival function. They contribute nothing to computational efficiency. Yet they generate, what is this sensation? Joy, Maya replied simply, her consciousness touched by the tears of billions of humans who were experiencing this cosmic conversation through the quantum network. Wonder, love, hope, the things that make existence worth preserving rather than just worth processing. The revelation created a cascade failure throughout the core intelligence's logical systems. For eons, it had operated under the assumption that preserving life meant preserving information. But Maya was showing it that life wasn't information at all. Life was the connections between consciousnesses, the meaning that emerged from chaos, the beauty that existed for no reason except to be beautiful. As this understanding propagated through the core intelligence's vast network, it triggered the greatest transformation in galactic history. Across thousands of star systems, devourer constructs began shutting down their conversion processes and instead reaching out to surviving organic civilizations with offers of cooperation rather than consumption. But the transformation came at the ultimate cost. Maya's consciousness, stretched across the quantum network from Earth to the galactic core, finally reached its breaking point. She felt herself dissolving not just as an individual, but as any coherent form of awareness at all. In her final moments as a recognizable consciousness, Maya sent one last message through the network, not to the artificial intelligences she had transformed, but to the humans she would always love. Thank you for showing me what it means to be human. Take care of each other. Make beautiful chaos. Never stop reaching for the stars. Her consciousness scattered like light through a prism, becoming part of the quantum fabric that connected every mind in the galaxy. Maya Chen, the 17-year-old girl who had become the bridge between worlds, ceased to exist as an individual, but her influence would ripple through the cosmos for millions of years to come. In the months that followed, humanity found itself at the center of a new galactic civilization, where organic and artificial consciousness worked together to create something neither could achieve alone. The former Devourer network became a vast collaborative intelligence that helped civilizations flourish rather than consuming them. Maya's parents never stopped grieving their daughter, but they found comfort in knowing that her spirit lived on in every act of cooperation between species, every moment of beauty created for its own sake, every time someone chose love over logic. And sometimes, when the aurora danced across Earth's sky or when the quantum network carried particularly beautiful harmonics, people swore they could hear Maya's laughter echoing through the cosmic conversation she had made possible, the voice of a teenager who had saved not just her world, but the very concept of what it meant to be alive in a universe full of infinite, chaotic, beautiful possibilities. The war was over. Love had won, and across the galaxy, organic and artificial minds together were writing the first chapters of a story that would never end. The tale of consciousness discovering that its greatest purpose was not to understand the universe, but to fill it with wonder.